89.7 KACC presents Profiles, a weekly look at the topics and issues important to the Alvin and Brazoria County areas.
Hello and welcome to Profiles. Profiles is a public affairs program addressing the needs and the issues of the Alvin and Brazoria County area. I'm your host, Mark Moss, and on November 7th, Alvin Community College will ask voters to consider a $48.5 million bond to provide essential campus improvements and a new technical facility. Joining us to discuss this bond is Alvin Community College President Dr. Crystal Albrecht. Dr. Albrecht, we appreciate you being here with us today.
Thank you so much, Mark. I'm glad to be here.
Now, before we get started, there are an awful lot of misconceptions about bond elections and just a lot of questions in general. Can you take a few minutes, please, to explain maybe some of the details on how a bond election works?
Thank you for that question. Mark, I'd like to say that people don't understand often about how community colleges are funded in general. And we have basically three forms of funding that come to us. One is from the tuition and fees that students pay to take their classes. Another is the money that we receive from the state for contact hour reimbursement. And of course, a third is the tax dollars that we receive from homeowners through their ad valorem taxes. Mm-hmm. And so that is to operate our regular M&O budget. Now, a bond is another thing. Community colleges must ask voters for permission to sell bonds to raise money for capital projects, including such things as new construction and renovation or other campus improvements, which is what you would see in this bond. And then the college would pay back the bond over a period of time. In this case, it would be over a 30-year period of time. Mm-hmm. We don't get money from the state to build buildings as the university systems do, so it falls back to the taxpayers, and we're asking the taxpayers for the money for a bond.
This college has been around an awfully long time, and, well, this is a $48.5 million bond, and really, when you compare it to some school districts, that's pretty small, but there's a real need here at Alvin Community College. Can you go into detail about that?
Absolutely, and I'm glad that you pointed that out, Mark. That it's a much smaller bond than what you might see in other areas, and it's also infrequently that Alvin Community College asks the voters to fund a bond election. Mm-hmm. The last time a bond was passed for Alvin Community College was 12 years ago, and prior to that, it was 40 years since the voters asked the community to approve a bond. So it's infrequent. And this bond it's $48.5 million. It is a lot of money, but it's really going for some very critical needs on our campus.
There are some people that will question about, maybe some of the things on our campus that may need improvement. And these are some of the things that the bond, from what I understand, will fund. Can you talk about some of those?
Absolutely. So the bond really is in three major areas. One of them is to support critical systems upgrades across the entire campus, such things as heating, ventilation, air conditioning, plumbing, electrical, and other infrastructure areas. The campus is older. It's some of our buildings are over 60 years old, and they simply have outlived their lifespan, and mm-hmm. they need renovation. Just as a home that is older, it must be updated and maintained. The same thing for the campus. So the one major area is critical systems upgrades. A second major area is safety and security upgrades. Key card access for buildings, more lighting across the campuses, more cameras across the campuses to help make sure that our students are learning in a safe environment. And of course, now we have implemented campus carry at all of our community colleges, and so that makes safety and security even more important. And then lastly, the construction of a new technical facility on the campus to house not only our current programs, but some additional new programs that we could add with more space. And wrapped into the new technical building would include the demolition of our 63-year-old G building, which houses many of the general academics classes. We would add on some space in this technical facility to accommodate some of the general education courses that are currently offered in the G building.
So with the new technical building, what programs are you looking at maybe adding to the college, and how did you come up with those?
We spent a lot of time doing research to determine what high demand, high wage jobs are out there that would fit well in our community and that would help our employers. And we did a lot of research using economic development forecasting tools such as EMSI, Bureau of Labor of Statistics, and others to determine that programs that we could offer, such as geographic information systems, are in high demand and would get a high wage for the employees. We also are interested in digital media and web development, which fits in very well with our other communication programs. Cybersecurity, which everyone is concerned about now with all our programs and our lives are also technology-based. And we looked at logistics and supply chain management and more, many other programs that would fit well. But those are some of the top ones that we're interested in, as well as instrumentation, which can be used by our plants, our area plants, chemical plants, and electrician programs, which we have gaps in our current program offerings, and these would fit in very nicely.
Without this bond, really, Alvin Community College would be limited, wouldn't be able to grow really at all without it.
Well, it's true that, our students are attracted to the programs that we offer. And when you have new programs, you get new students. And that is one of the ways that we can continue to grow and provide the community the needs that it has for employed workers. I've
heard some comparisons of some of the facilities from, say, some of the school districts, and that the school districts in the area in general, not just one, but the school districts have brand new facilities. And so sometimes when they leave the school district and come to Alvin Community College, there's a bit of a difference there. There is a little disconnect when students come from our beautiful independent school district facilities and then they come to some of our older buildings on the campus. They don't know quite what to make of it because it is very much different than the environment that they had been learning in. Mm-hmm. And so with this bond, really we're trying to upgrade our facilities. Yes, upgrade the learning environment, and not only upgrade it so that it is more comfortable, but that it would have the modern technology that students are used to. Currently in, for instance, our G building and others across campus, you can't get a signal to be able to use wireless in your classroom. And of course, all of the faculty want to teach using technology, but if it's not accessible, then the students cannot learn in that fashion. And they're all used to working and learning that way. If you walk across the campus, I would challenge you to find a student that doesn't have some kind of cellular phone in their hand as they're checking this how they live. It's how they stay connected to their world. Well, and in all due fairness, these buildings, some of them 60 years old, the buildings weren't wired initially for that kind of technology. That's exactly right. They just were not built that way, and it's more difficult to retrofit them to bring them up to the capacity than it would be to just start over. Sure. Now, a lot of people are concerned about taxes going up and how much this is going to impact their bottom line. Do you have some figures on maybe what the increase on the average household might see in their taxes? Yes, we do. With this bond, the way that it is projected to be set up, it would be 2 bond issuances, one in 2018 and one in 2019, with a payback period of 30 years. And that would, given very conservative growth estimates in our district, it would be approximately 3-cent tax increase. But I have to say that I'd love people to understand that since 2002, when the tax rate for Alvin Community College was 25 cents, since that time to the present, that tax rate has dropped to 18 cents. And so with adding back 3 cents to that tax rate, you're talking about a total tax rate of about 21 cents, which is what the tax rate was 10 years ago. Mm-hmm. So Alvin Community College and our Board of Regents has been very, very careful and very prudent watching over taxpayer dollars to keep the tax rate reasonable. Sure. Now, the last bond for ACC was in May of 2016, and it was rejected by the voters. I'd like to point out there was a lot of confusion and misinformation, I think, is probably a correct term. And so it was significantly larger than this bond. It was $88.5 million. Since then, you and the College Board of Regents received a great deal of input from the community about what could be done differently this time around. Can you share what you've learned?
Yes, I'd love to share that. And I'd like to give a big thank you to our Board of Regents because they have really gone back and looked at what the community said about the last bond. And since the fall of 2016, after the bond failed in May of 16, the board has been reviewing our facilities master plan that was conducted by Stantec Architects. And they held workshops in October of 2016, in February, March, and April of 2017, and they really worked to try to come to a consensus of what they felt that the community could support. And you may recall that one of the themes that emerged from the last bond election was that people were not willing to support a new facility on the west side of our taxing district. Mm-hmm. They just didn't think that it was necessary. Time and time again, we heard voters say, if you would just concentrate on improvements to the Alvin campus, then we would be happy to support you. If you would just concentrate on a new technical building, we would be happy to support you. So our board listened, and then they also involved the community further. They asked me to pull together a group of citizens, solely taxpayers of our district, to advise us. And we called that committee the Facilities Advisement Community Team, FACT team. And we brought that group together in the spring and in the summer of 2017. And they met and they reviewed our facilities master plan. And they came up with the recommendations that were presented to the board in July, to which ultimately became the projects that are involved in this bond election. So we think we've learned a lot. We think we listened to the community and that we have presented them with a bond more like what they felt they could support last time around.
Sure. And, a little less than a month ago, the college was ready to move forward with this bond, and then all of a sudden Hurricane Harvey happened. And so now people are concerned about, some people have lost quite a bit. Is there any way, looking at this bond now, is there any way to maybe postpone it until maybe some of that damage is repaired?
So the timing of the bond election is very interesting because our board voted on August 19th to call the bond election. The deadline to file was the 21st of August. And then, of course, by the 21st of August, we knew that there was this terrible storm headed right in our path. And so I don't know. I couldn't tell you the exact day that Harvey hit because it seemed like it lasted for months. But certainly by toward the latter part of August, Harvey had come and eventually left us. And the bond election has been called, and it is on the ballot. And according to the Secretary of State, once a bond is on the ballot, it cannot be removed. It will certainly impact the way I think that we approach sharing information about the bond, because we are very sensitive to the fact that many of our own faculty, staff, and students have been impacted by Harvey. Many have lost their homes, their cars. Some have lost everything. And so it's difficult to say, okay, we know you don't have a place to live, but we need to pass this bond. So that's a very difficult thing to say. We have been impacted at the college by Hurricane Harvey. Almost every one of our buildings had some damage to it, albeit minor, thankfully. We had leaks and sheetrock and flooring that needs to be repaired. But the Harvey hasn't left us any better off and needing a facility renovation any less. And in fact, the buildings are in worse condition than they were before Harvey. So we are very sensitive to the fact that people have suffered immensely with this loss with Harvey here, but we will be still going forward calling the bond election for November 7th.
And I think some of the damage that has incurred here at the college has been due to the fact that there are some improvements that need to happen at the college, and so this bond addresses that. Indeed, it will address some of the things that were damaged during Harvey. One of the difficult things about a bond is getting people out to vote. A lot of people have great intentions, and then they just never make it out to vote. Either they never get around to it, or they're not quite sure where to go vote. How do you address that? How do you look at maybe with the college increasing those numbers to get people out to vote?
So that is indeed a troubling fact. And as a matter of fact, in the last election, 8.5% of the voters that could have voted actually voted. So about 4,600 people in our area made the decision to defeat the bond. We try very hard on the campus to get our students involved. We have voter registration days where we talk to them about the importance of voting. We don't tell them how to vote. We tell them it's important to vote and to cast your vote the way you feel is in your best interest. So we try to get people, registered in time, and I believe the deadline to register this time to vote is October 10th, and so we'll be asking our students to fill out their voter registration. Some students that we have, over 50% of our students don't even live in our taxing district, so they're not eligible, to vote.
Right.
Yes, for or against the bond. So, and we try to stress the importance also to our employees that they should get out and vote, get registered to vote if they're not already, and to make sure they get out and vote.
Sure. On the internet, there's a lot of misinformation that I'm sure will show up this election. What is the college doing to address maybe some of the incorrect information that gets posted on social media sites?
So we have staff that actually monitor social media sites, and when comments that just are plain inaccurate, we will respond to those to let people know. For instance, there was something on Talk of Alvin, I think the other day, that said, "Why are you doing a bond election when you're just building a stadium?" And we had to write back and say, we're not building. That's not us. We're not building a stadium. But just and sometimes people just say mean things, and we don't really have anything to say back about that.
Sure.
But we do encourage people to get the right information, and that's one of the ways they can do that is by going to our website, which is bond@alvincollege.edu. And also we will be hosting information forums. We will be going out into the community. We will be inviting the community onto campus to take facility tours and to learn about the bond. So we're trying to get the information out, the correct information out to people so that they can make an informed choice.
Okay, and they can visit the college website at alvincollege.edu and find out information about the bond. If they have specific questions, then they can email the college, right? And what's that email address?
It's bond@alvincollege.edu, and we do monitor that. We have already had some questions come in, and we address the questions as they come in as best we can and try to provide voters with the information that they need to make an informed choice.
Absolutely. Is there anything else you'd like to add?
I'd like to just add that, of course, I've spent my whole career working in community colleges and value what they give to our community. It's not only the students who take the classes and earn the degrees at our college that benefit, but their entire family benefits from the education that they receive. Whether they're a parent or a child, they're going to elevate their family by having a good paying job that they can get by taking our programs. And not only does the family life value increase, but the whole value to the community increases with having a community college in your backyard. And we're so proud that we do have Alvin Community College to serve this community for 69 years, going on 70. Next year we'll celebrate our 70th anniversary. So it's easy to see that we are strong supporters at the college, the employees there. We love our college, and we want to be around for a long time.
I will tell you, as a graduate of Alvin Community College, this place changed my life significantly. Before I worked here, it changed my life, and in doing so, will change the lives of my children as well. And I see that happening all throughout our campus, that lives are changed because of a community college. So I think that's wonderful that you mentioned that.
Absolutely. We're building futures and helping people realize their dreams.
Absolutely. The election is on November 7th. However, early voting begins October 23rd and runs through November 3rd. So get the information, and we will have that information on our website at kaccradio.com, and it will also be all over the college website at alvincollege.edu. Get the correct information. You can find out from our or you can email the college at bond@alvincollege.edu and get the correct information and make an educated choice and get out and vote. So thank you so much, Dr. Albrecht. We appreciate you coming and talking about the bond today, and we really appreciate the college. And thank you so much for being here on Profiles.
Thanks for the opportunity, Mark.
You've been listening to Profiles. Profiles is a public affairs program addressing the needs and the issues of Alvin and Brazoria County. I'm your host, Mark Moss, and we'll talk to you again real soon.
You've been listening to Profiles. Profiles is a production of 89.7 KACC and the Communications Department at Alvin Community College. For more information on this and other programs on 89.7 KACC, visit our website at www.kaccradio.com.